Hi everybody, it's Andrea over at Sewspire.com, and today I am here to show you how to stitch this fabulous insulated bottle tote. I have created a very thick, economical way of insulating this tote that I think you'll appreciate, just using cotton quilt batting and then multiple layers of crafting felt, and it really provides a nice insulated tote. So for this project I used a Premier Print indoor-outdoor fabric. So this fabric, which the actual bag is crafted from, is going to have some water resistance, which is also key and will be nice so that you don't have any condensation inside of the other bag that you position this bottle tote inside of. So this particular bag is designed to hold 2 large sippy cups, water bottles, or baby bottles. You can of course add additional width and height to the same pieces that I'm using and create a much larger tote that would be fabulous for wine bottles and larger containers. So the way that it works is there are 2 loops in there that hold the bottles upright, and why those are necessary is the baby is obviously not going to drink 2 bottles at the same time. So if you omitted those loops on the inside, then when you took out one bottle, the other bottle would tip over. So this, I think, is a clever design that will keep your bottles upright and cold or warm, whichever you decide. This will work. Before we move on to the project, I want to congratulate Monica Burton. You are the lucky winner of the lightweight summer backpack we made last week. I'm going to send you an email. If you'll just reply to that email, I'll get your prize right out in the mail to you. And if you would like to enter to win this insulated tote or any of my future sewing projects here on Sewspire, head on over to Sewspire.com, click on the Happy Mail tab, and input your contact information. And that will enter you for this and all subsequent Happy Mail drawings. So shall we get started? Okay, so for this project, we're going to be using multiple cuts of fabric. For your convenience, I'm going to list all of those measurements in the notes field. You can also head on over to Sewspire.com, type in insulated tote, and you'll get the whole project roundup. So for the first part, we're going to begin by crafting the flap closure, which is crafted from 2 pieces of twill material which measure 10 inches tall by 8 inches wide, and you're just going to take those and position them right sides facing and stitch down the 2 long sides and across the base. And for that, go ahead and use 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Actually, let's change that to 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, I've made it all the way around 3 edges. I want to go ahead and turn that right side out and poke out those corners. And I have a cute flap here, and I want to attach some hook and loop tape, or Velcro, you might know it as. This is Sew On Kind. There's no adhesive on the back. I'm going to take the softer side of that and position it 1/2 inch up from that finished edge, and this is black, so it is hard for you to see, I recognize that, but I do want it to look nice for whoever is going to win it. So I'm going to stick with the black. We're going to stitch that Velcro at the top and the bottom edge so it's secure on this flap. And you can see better now with the stitch line how that is positioned on there. So we can set the rough edge of the Velcro aside with the flap for a few moments, and we're going to now craft the interior, beginning with the wraps that will hold the 2 bottles in place. And this is a 9 inch wide by 20 inch wide piece of fabric. You're going to fold that in half so you have 9 inches by approximately 10 inches. And so this is a nice folded edge. You're just going to stitch the 2 longer edges closed and leave that other end open to turn. You will have 2 of those pieces because this is a double bottle tote. So do the same thing with the other piece, and while you're at the machine, just stitch those longer edges closed. Okay, so now turn both of those little pouches right side out and poke out the corners. We can set those aside for a few moments as well. Now to insulate this tote, I am using just regular craft felt. So these are like less than $1 a sheet, and I have selected 2 coordinating colors and cut out 4 rectangles that measure 8 inches across by 10 inches tall. So I have 4 rectangles, and it doesn't really matter what color they are, but just for fun, I'm going to take and pair up a red and a black. So I have those aligned like that. My 2 kind of insulators there. Then the interior body of this is crafted from coordinating piece of twill, which measures 10 inches wide by 12 inches tall, and I have 2 of those. And what I want to do is position that pretty side down and then take one of these smaller insulator layers here, which is comprised of the 2 pieces of felt. You could recycle anything else you have in your house. You could use flannel, would be a great insulator. You could use lots of quilt batting. Multiple layers of quilt batting is fine. If you wanted, you could probably even put a layer of tin foil in between here. It doesn't really matter what you choose. The most important thing is that you're creating this layer, which then creates the insulating feature of the bag. So I have the 2 layers there. I'm going to get this second panel set up, and I'm going to put a pin in the top and the bottom to hold that, and then I'm going to go ahead and stitch all the way around that felt for both panels to ensure that it does not shift. Okay, I have attached all of my felt securely to the 2 interior panels. You can see what those look like. And now I'm going to position one of those insulated panels on the table, pretty side up, and I want to take these little pouches that we made. So one side is finished and then one side is open, and you're just going to fold that in half like this, and so the raw edge and the folded edge will align, and then you'll have this opening here at the top and the bottom. So it's basically, it's a tube. So take that raw edge over and position it 1 inch up from the base. Let's see if you can see that. So I'm taking that and position it 1 inch from the bottom. The raw edge and the folded edge are here, and then there's about 2.5 inches here left at the top. Okay, so I'm gonna pin that down. And I want to do the same thing with the other side, so I'm going to fold that in half with the raw edge and the folded edge over on the other side, and it's easier to match this up because I can use the left hand side as a guide. So I have that little tube folded in half, and I'm going to put pins through all the layers, and that'll sit like that. And then I want to take my second insulated panel and position that pretty side down on top of the first panel. So this is a lot of layers and a lot of bulk, which is why we did not run this felt all the way to the edge. It would just be too much for your machine. But you could just put a pin at the top there and a pin at the bottom to keep everything from shifting. And we're going to head over to the machine and stitch down the two long edges and across the base, and you shouldn't have any problem stitching through that. Okay, I've made it all the way around. Want to remove the pins, and now when you open that up, well, you're going to have to remove the pins from the little tubes on the inside. So when you open that up, oh, two more pins hiding in there. You should be able to slide your hands, or your hand, through that tube on the center and open up those bottle holders. And I'm hoping that you can see this in there, how those are. So there's the two little slips in there, and when we get this finished, the bottles will slip inside of there and stay put. So for right now, just fold this top edge over. It's a little less than an inch. You're going to be limited by that felt there, so just fold that over however it naturally falls with the felt. And go ahead and set this aside, and we're going to craft the exterior, which you will need 2 pieces of quilt batting. This is just Pellon quilt batting, and those will measure 12 inches tall by 10 inches across, and you're going to have 2 more body panels from the twill in the same measurements. So just layer those with 1 piece of batting underneath, and we want to go ahead and attach that second piece of Velcro, that rough edge of the Velcro, approximately 3 inches down from the top. And so you can't see that, I realize, with the black, but it's centered and 3 inches down from that top. Put a little pin in that and go ahead and stitch across the top and the bottom edge of that Velcro. And now hopefully you can see how I stitch across that. That little diagonal thread is irrelevant. It just needs to be trimmed off. There you go. And that's attached. Then we are going to take the second body panel, position that right sides together, line up all your corners, and stitch down both sides and across the base with the same 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, I've made it all the way around. I just want to trim away the excess fabric from this top 3 inches there, and that's just because when we fold it over we have a lot of layers to sew through. So just trim up that excess just at the top open edge there. Take care not to cut through your stitch line, and then you can go ahead and turn this right side out and poke out those corners at the bottom as best you can. And we should have the Velcro on this front side here. We want to fold that top edge inward just about 1/2 inch. And if you need to, you can put pins in that to hold it. 1 in the front and 1 in the back should suffice. Then you want to take your heavily insulated interior and fit that inside the exterior. You're going to begin by lining up those side seams. And then move to the center. And when you get to this point, this is really heavily padded, thick, insulated. I don't even think we could have possibly worked in any more layers. It feels like a really heavy duty oven mitt. Okay. So I just want to flatten that all down as best I can. Everything should be fitting in there nice, but snug. And we want to take the flap, which we already crafted, secure the Velcro on there, or the flap to that, so you can make sure you have a good fit. And then come around to the back edge. You have the raw edge of your flap there that you're going to tuck in between the interior and exterior layers, okay? And then you're just going to try and hold these corners here with the pin. You got to take care to keep all those layers straight. We just want to secure everything on the edge there till we can open this flap back up, and then you can readjust. And I would suggest putting another pin in the middle there of the flap. Okay, that looks great. And I've got room for 2 bottles in there and lots of insulation. So now what I'm going to do is, you have the option right now, if you want to add a handle to this, you definitely can. I have cut out a piece of fabric that measures 5 inches wide by 24 inches long. And so to craft the flap, fold that long piece of fabric in half long ways, or not flap, but handle. Then open that up and bring the edges inward to meet on the center, and then fold that over one more time to create this narrow handle. And you're just going to stitch down that open edge and then along the other edge to finish that. And that's going to go in between the exterior and the interior layers right at the side. I'm just tucking that in there about 2 inches on each side. I'm going to put a pin through all of those layers. Now, if you want, I feel like you could omit the handle. It is handy though, especially because it will allow you to drape it over the stroller or pull it in and out of the diaper bag quickly. So the last thing that I have to do is stitch all the way around this top edge and reinforce the handle. The easiest way to do that is to remove the machine deck and then fit this on the machine deck. I like to begin at the side with the handle, which I'll reinforce with the back stitch. I'm just going to move all the way around the edge, working slowly and pulling out the pins as I go. Okay, my bottle tote is complete. It's actually not going to be my bottle tote. It's going to be whoever is the lucky Happy Mail winner. But I wanted to show you, if I can, what this looks like turned around so you can understand how this works. And also, I forgot to mention, and this is pretty important, this fabric that I'm using is actually an indoor/outdoor fabric, so it has that water resistance, which is going to be a valued feature in a bottle tote. So that's a premier print, and if you just go to fabric.com and search premier prints, indoor outdoor fabric, you'll have a lot of choices. So when it's turned inside out, the tote looks like this, and the bottles would then slip in either side, and of course they're more like that on the inside. Now this is a small version designed for small water bottles or baby bottles, but you could easily add 3, 6, 10 inches and make this large enough to hold wine bottles. You could box the corners to create a gusset so it would sit flat. I would definitely do that for wine. It's not necessary for baby bottles, mostly because I'm assuming that this is going to go inside of a larger bag and it will be upright anyways. So I don't know if my bottle that I use will fit in here, but we can try. It might fit like this. Yes, it does. Okay, so you can see that will hold, this is about the size of a traditional water bottle here, and it will hold 2 of those, and I will find some baby bottles and take some pictures so you can see what that looks like. Loaded up as well. It was an absolute pleasure to sew with you. I hope you enjoyed the project and you will use your imagination and adapt this to suit your needs depending upon what you're carrying. Make a really cute lunch pack too. I want to say congratulations one more time to the fabulous Monica Burton. You are the winner of the backpack we made last week. I'm going to send you an email. When you get a chance, reply with your shipping address and I will send your prize out right away. Until we meet again, please know the creative genius in me salutes the creative genius in you. Have a beautiful day, everyone.